Are live now. I did not expect that fight to last that long, to be honest. Hello and welcome to we can talk about that in Frostside chat. Welcome to Frostside chat, our weekly live stream post session discussion where we talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 22. So if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that now because there will be spoilers. I am your DM Eric. And joining me is of our Robin's player Chris.
Hello.
And Edmund's player Raymond.
Hello.
Yeah, I guess that's jumping ahead, but I literally started the poll I think that fight started like 11:15, and I was like, all right, there's 3 guys here. Thimbleweed just like took out that axe like in the first round. Like, this fight's not gonna take very long.
Yeah.
And it was like 35 minutes or 40 minutes or something. I was like, oh shit, this is really going a while. I thought we'd end things like by 11:30. Instead it was
right.
Whatever it was, almost midnight.
Their high AC and our poor rolls were not adding up.
Yeah, it actually survived for a number of rounds. In fact, I had 2 full rounds, and then I would have had a third one, but you stunned it with the massive damage roll. So that combat lasted 3 full rounds, which I did not expect for when players outnumber enemies, which are generally low-level enemies. Those were, obviously I modified which I don't usually do. I think you should be proud of me for this. I don't usually take monsters and like tweak them around a bit.
That was an animated armor that you added a hand cannon to?
Correct, yes. Okay. It's an animated armor that I replaced. It has I kept the hit points, I kept the AC, I kept all of that. I just changed its attacks. Instead of having 2 slam attacks, because it just has its fists, I gave it an axe in one hand, which upped its damage slightly, and then I gave it that like arm cannon in the other hand, which is basically burning hands but piercing damage.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's how it starts, man.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
Because the animated armor is a CR1, which is a pretty low, obviously, especially for you guys, level 4. So it's like, all right, let me just scale it up a little bit. And those flying swords, battle act, the same thing, is a CR 1/4. So this was not a fight I was expecting to last at all or give you guys any real trouble.
Is this one of those cases where, like, as written, it's like for lower levels?
Yes, but also this is not. I even scaled it up from what's written. I guess we can go and talk about that. Is you guys find one of the Dwergars there?
Okay.
And technically, there's a little bit of a fight, but it wouldn't have been much of one. And I kind of already played around with the like, oh, there's an invisible Dwergar in the room, and you guys even played up on that. It's like, hey, we know these guys go invisible.
We know they're invisible. Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to. I was like, I don't want to throw that together again. So I'm like, all right, well, these guys are all about like, builders. They're constructors, so they put together some armor as a like a security system. Yeah. I thought that would be a little more interesting.
That was a very interesting attack, and I did like it. It was, and the description of it just being like cobbled together metal parts was and it fit with the arm. It having an arm cannon that was shooting out metal bits was that worked.
All right, that's skipping ahead though. So
it is.
The road encounter with the fox. This is obviously meant to be another follow-up to all the talking animal stuff.
Right. But not the same source. I were gathering because they were like blue eyes and like possessed, and this one was like an animated.
Which you guys didn't ask the fox about that. Curiously enough.
I think I assumed it wasn't related because those blue eyes, what were they, wolves? That was very like. You know what? As we're talking, I'm only now piecing this together in my head. So.
Yeah, this is obviously a lot of story stuff coming ahead, and this was a tricky thing to plan because, especially, and you talked about like, oh man, we're coming off all these big dungeon crawls. I was like, yeah, Easthaven will be a nice kind of reprieve from that. There's still going to be some action there, but it is a lot of kind of social stuff. And I wasn't sure how long that fox thing would last, and I wasn't sure how long obviously the big social scene would last, which it was meant to be obviously a big one. I knew there would be a lot of that. I had fully prepared for that fox thing to be a combat encounter just in case.
Yeah.
There was a battle map, there were tokens, there was all kinds of shit available just in case you guys were really having none of it, or you were really like, or you were specifically pissed about like the other animals and want to take it out on them.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't really sure how it would go.
I think almost happened. I feel like if Frey had said like I attack, I don't think any of us would have been like, "No, Heather, stop!" You know,
Mhm.
it would have been like, "All right, phrase
That's the
attack."
thing, yeah, yeah. If somebody gets irritated or something and they start something, I was like, I'm gonna push the button on this. I'm gonna turn this into a combat
Yeah,
encounter.
I like the fox's voice.
Thank
I
you.
did not. I did not like the fox's voice.
Oh no, we're split vote.
Let me amend my statement. I also did not like the fox's voice, but it was a good voice with the intention of me not liking it.
Okay.
I think that was that's where I landed. Where
Okay.
like I hated that fox. Like, the fox was annoying me because
Yeah.
we kept like, insinuating that he was like, he's a fucking fox and been granted some human intelligence, and he kept talking to us like he was like better than us.
Yeah.
like he was some sort of authority figure that was like greeting us at the gates and allowing
Yeah.
us entry. Like, what the fuck? You're not allowing us anything, fox. Like,
Yeah, that's
Yes, the roleplay was good, but yes, the fox was annoying. And here's the question:
as designed, yes.
design, right? So I mean, was that so? You did that on purpose? What if it was like a regal sounding fox who could say the exact same thing? Like we'd be less likely to attack.
See, now you're thinking like a DM because you can
Right.
absolutely influence your players that way by role playing these characters in different ways. You want a character to
make him
be
feel like he has some more authority, but based on his tone of voice.
yeah, exactly.
So as soon as I heard the voice, I wanted to attack it.
See, I'm provoking violence using this
You have to
voice.
die, fox.
Yeah, and a fox who's like throwing his weight around. It's exactly what adventurers do.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna necessarily reveal all the things I had planned, but
Well, it seemed like from what we gathered, it seemed like that tree was gonna fucking bash us.
I was definitely
if we
teasing
fuck-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he had friends in high places, and yeah, that was definitely part
we
of the
didn't
tease.
see anything in the tree, and then you said that like the tree had like moved when we passed it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, that tree was gonna like come out of the ground and bash us to death if we had messed with the fox. Fine.
Yeah, and that was part of it. It was almost like goading you guys into like just testing the fox, and then I could unleash all these things. But I think it went over pretty well. Like you guys, it was not going to be a fight I was going to force, nor
Right.
even necessarily encourage. It was going to be purely based on how the role play went, basically.
Yeah. And as annoying as the fox was in terms of the way he was talking to us, which I feel like is an insult to you, but it's not. It's like
No,
you're
I get
playing
you.
a character.
Yeah.
But like the way the character was talking to us was like, don't talk to us like that, fox.
I don't know if you felt it, but I've decided at the end, like murdering the fox would not accomplish anything.
Yeah. I kind of got the same. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like
You're not
think-
worth my time, fox.
Kind of. It's like what would that? Yeah. What would be the outcome of that? We would have a dead fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did debate how useful the fox would be, like in regards to mistress, but I don't think he was useful anyway. I was thinking about like using my Charlem binds abanding to capture.
Oh yeah.
But again, he didn't seem to have like importance.
No.
A
Mhm.
messenger, and he was done. And he didn't even care, or like he didn't really care
Yeah.
about being a messenger. I think.
Mhm.
Right. And as you described it, it didn't sound like he even like reported directly to this lady. Like he got his instructions from owls, so it's not like he even had like a direct line of communication. So
Right.
I was like, I don't know. Like this fox is unimportant, but yeah,
Yep. Inflated sense of self-worth.
right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much exactly the tone and style I was going for. And then Easthaven, which there is a lot of this that is in the book. What we just came from, which we talked about that a lot on the last Frostside chat, was homebrewed, literally because it was a brewery.
Mhm.
So I invented a lot of that stuff. This one is actually a lot of what's written in the book, so we're getting back into it. I don't know how much more I can talk about that, but I'll let you guys ask
No,
questions about things.
I guess in terms of what's homebrewed and what's not. So us approaching the city hall, and they're them burning a person alive, which turns out is one of the three wizards. And then the druidess like whispering in the ear of the speaker, which was very Game of Thrones. It was very Red
Yeah.
Lady. What's his name? What was the king's name?
Stannis.
Stannis. Yes.
Yeah.
Just immediately, I was like, oh, this is a Red Lady Stannis situation here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
So that all was written. That's all as written.
Most of it. I don't know how much I can say. Ravison exists in the story. I elevated her part and more closely tied it to. It's kind of like if you're adapting Game of Thrones, the book, into the series, where it's like you'll see characters. There's like so many characters, and then the show kind of limited, in a good way, and it kind of used characters in multiple ways and things. Yeah, I'm kind of doing that with Ravison specifically, and focusing on fewer characters. I think it's just easier on players too.
For sure.
Even though you hilariously can't remember anybody's name or names in general. But
I started writing them down because I was like, I'm not kidding. None of this is sinking in.
Yeah.
There's like 3 wizards that all end with IN, and I'm getting them all mixed up.
It is tricky when we think about things that like the last time you spoke to Daneth Whalen was the speaker was in session 2. It was 20 sessions ago. Now it's only been like 6 days of game time for the player characters, but yeah, for us it was months ago. So I definitely feel for you. So I will say, Ravison exists in the book. But I kind of elevated her status in the story and then actually moved her to Easthaven. So that created a more interesting dynamic to me, and then for you guys to have to deal with.
I assume also that her connection to Thimbleweed was also written. I mean, it has to be written by you.
Obviously, yes. Yeah, that was a cool connection. Whenever you have a chance to tie, obviously, characters into the story or with other NPCs or something, that's just an instant kind of neat little relationship you can build off of.
Yeah.
Although, and that did end up being a fun little aside, but that wasn't even really the main crux of, it kind of was overshadowed by the bigger thing, which was like, you guys just fucking executed somebody for nebulous crimes.
In terms of that whole scene, I assume that's what got Reese and myself the MVPC, was just the 45-minute long religious political debate that happens.
Yeah, which is a tricky thing because I never know. It's tricky with this group. I know we're really into dungeon crawls and adventuring and all that, but you just wonder if every once in a while you can get away with a session like this.
With me, you can. I enjoy that kind of let's debate the political machinations or the how religion ties into this. Which, by the way, if anyone, you won't, Eric, but if anybody watching this gets a chance, Midnight Mass, great show, has a lot of very similar themes to what would happen in tonight's session. A lot of very similar themes.
Mike Flanagan, right? The guy who did a bunch of other horror shows on
Haunting of Hill House, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Dr. Sleep, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Haunting of Bly Manor was okay, but most of what he does is really good.
Yeah. Maybe too scary for me, but
I'll say actually, of all the things he's done, Midnight Mass is probably one of the least scary. I've still got 2 episodes left, so maybe it gets really scary at the end. But it's pretty much a drama about, very similar to tonight, about how religion is a good thing that can be super easily twisted to very, very evil ends.
Yeah.
By a number of means.
Yeah.
And that kind of seems to be the very similar thing with here, with get this crazy religion that is involving sacrificing people.
Notice what I did is I tied all 3 of your bullet points under rumors and leads to this session. So you were going there for the third one, which is the Dwerger Ferry, and then you found out that Ravison, you finally got to meet her, and they are she's spreading the worship of the Frostmaiden in this city. That's her whole thing.
Yeah, this is the same lady from that. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
You're okay. Yeah, you're right. That's.
I realized oh man, these 2 up here that've been in there forever. You guys haven't seen that. I was like, I was gonna have them all in Easthaven. They just haven't got to Easthaven yet. And that's kind of the problem with the.
Right.
That's interesting. You can see why it's hard to develop open world RPGs that have stories, because you just kind of have to all right, well the story continues at this city, but you could fuck off and go to these cities for 20 hours and then finally come into the main story, and that's just kind of a hurdle to get it past. Which is why I didn't necessarily, and we don't do that as a group anyway. I'm just like, hey, go wherever you want, and I'll give you quests there. It's like, no, I'm gonna give you, a few quests at a time and lead you along to different areas, and then we'll eventually, I think that makes for better narrative.
Mm,
And I remember asking you guys in the poll before we started this campaign, like, hey, do you guys prefer a more narrative focused or a more open world? And it was overwhelmingly narrative focused.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know if we've ever tried it. We've kind of half tried it sometimes.
I mean, with Roll20, that creates very obvious limitations. So
It does.
But the idea is I could just start creating a bunch of, areas and things and give you guys a bunch of quests and go nuts, with the caveat that, like, well, how do I build an actual, like, main campaign out of that?
Yeah, I think that the problem with an open world for us in Roll20 is maps and creatures, because like if I say like, oh, you happen upon a mausoleum and there's 20 skeletons in there, I haven't prepped a skeleton token, people in real world could just open the player's handbook and be like,
and just
skeletons. Here's a skeleton stat block.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll with that. But in Roll20, I need something to put on the board. There's got to be a token there. It's got to be built.
Yeah, that is a specific limitation we work with, which I think, and a compromise there is we all kind of understand that, like, okay, the DM's gonna lead people along to a certain extent, but even then, I do feel conscious of, like, okay, I don't want to just force them to necessarily go in one direction. I usually try to give you guys at least like 2 different things you can do. Like, even in this session, notice you guys are like in the middle of a quest, and I gave you guys another quest.
Yeah.
And technically, a third, I guess it's a rumor, which I need to update your rumors and leads, that you got from the captain, the journal, which we can talk about that. I had to come up with that because I thought you guys would want to investigate that more.
Wait, what are you talking about? Sorry.
I thought you guys would want to investigate the wizard who was burned. I thought you'd want to go all like fucking CSI on this and be like, okay, where did you catch this guy? Where did you keep him? What did you talk to him about? And really ask about him. And there was none of that. You just got caught up on the political system that was involved in it. So I was kind of caught off guard because I'd made a bunch of notes and tried to anticipate all this stuff about you guys wanting to be like, do the FBI thing. Like, you come and be like, all right, let's go check, like, where was he staying at? Was there any notes anywhere? And I was trying to figure out, okay, they gotta have all these clues to find and all this shit.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so and eventually I was gonna have somebody be like, maybe one of them two could, if you pressed them, one of them could produce, the journal and say like, well, we found this, but we didn't know you're on the level and all that. So we were end up like at the end of the meeting and nobody had brought it up, and I thought, okay, what if which thankfully there's a captain who has a name in here. I was like, okay, what if the captain comes up to them? It's the classic like NPC comes up to you and with an exclamation point over their head or whatever.
Like, you didn't do any of the things that you needed to do to
get
the item.
So here's the thing to make sure this isn't a completely closed door, because I didn't mean to close this door on you. This is actually this quest continues.
That's very
and you guys thought it was like a hard stop, so I had to come up with that kind of on the fly right at the last second.
Yeah.
I always had
I think we were caught up on the 2 people in front of us, like the speaker and the druidess, as like the as the Game of Thrones scenario. We were all very invested in like talking him out of this situation,
which was cool. I appreciated that, and it was a nice little back and forth. But
I kind of think we also kind of assumed we knew the story already, because it was like we knew he was a wizard.
Yeah.
We knew why he was here. We knew he was here investigating the thing sent by what's the name of that group?
Arcane Brotherhood.
Sent by them. And so it just stands to reason that, like, he's a wizard in town.
But you never
caught by
I don't even know if I should point this out or not, but you guys never thought the last thing I'm going to go and say it. The last thing you learned from the mountain quest is that he found some location far to the northeast and went in that direction. So you never asked why is he in Easthaven?
Wait, is it the same wizard? I didn't know that. I thought this was the evil wizard.
Who's the evil wizard?
Wait. The one with the black like knight dude who stabbed the lady at the top of the mountain. I thought that was the other one.
That is that
Hold on,
one. Yeah,
let me
that is
look
that
at my
wizard.
notes. Velen.
That's not Velen. That's Dazan.
Oh, I didn't. I just didn't put that together.
Oh my goodness.
I thought it
Okay.
was the third one. I thought there were 3 wizards.
There are 3 wizards.
Avarice,
Yes.
Dazan, and
Yes.
Velen.
Yes.
I thought Dazan was killed in Easthaven by the people. We hadn't seen him before.
Yes, that's
Avarice we talked to.
Yes.
And Velen was the one at the top of the mountain.
No.
Where's Velen?
You don't know.
Oh, okay. See that I just didn't.
Okay.
Didn't. I assumed.
No, it was never. Because if you look at all the notes that the adventurers were giving, it was all Dazan. That was the name they were giving.
I just didn't remember the name. That's all.
Okay.
It's been 3 months.
Yeah, I guess I should have done a better job of. It was a lot of very important story stuff that we were unfolding here, so I assumed you guys would want to be more into the investigation part of it, but it looked like it was just like a cut and dry case. Like, you guys killed this person, and that's that.
If I had remembered that it was the same wizard from the top of the mountain,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought it was like the case.
This is just the third one that we never saw.
Yeah, that we never saw, and he's just sort of a write-off.
Gotcha.
Sort of like, I was thinking of what was I thinking of? Wizard of Oz. I was like, there's the other witches. That you don't see them. It's like, there's
the Wicked Witch of the other directions.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Okay. Yeah, what happens, I guess I really should have done a better recap then. So what you've known so far is Dazan was the one that did all the mountain stuff, hired the adventurers, was the one with that bodyguard that didn't say anything, that stunk a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assumed there'd be questions about that, and there wasn't. Like,
if I remembered, yes, there would.
Yeah, and then last you saw was him knifing that one, and then going off to like this far northeast location, and then all of a sudden you just hear that this person, Zahn, got burned alive at Easthaven. And then Avarice, obviously you met her in Caer Dineval, and she kind of told you what the Arcane Brotherhood was doing, and she didn't know what they had all gone their separate ways, so she learned from you where Dazan was last, but nobody's heard from the third one, which is Velen.
Okay. All right, that was just a misunderstanding on my part then.
Okay.
Total, I forgot.
I might post something in like the Discord or something to just try to remind people, because that is, that's also a tricky thing to do in D&D, is when you've got this main quest with characters, and I've tried to create all these connective tissues and things going on, but then we go off and do these. If I'm being frank, the whole Goodmead was an entirely separate side quest that didn't have anything to do with the main story, and that lasted for 5 sessions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel you in that case. I should have been more.
Also, I think
obvious, I guess.
I think because it would have been so unexpected. I think it's another reason why I assumed it was the third wizard.
Yeah.
Because what would the wizard on top of that mountain be doing in Easthaven? Like, I just without his bodyguard, his undead bodyguard. That just didn't.
These are the questions I thought you guys would be investigating and being really curious and stuff. And I kind of forgot about it too, because we were getting so into the political stuff. But then it was like towards the end of the thing where I was like, oh shit, wait, I need to give them this next. I at least need to give them the end of the clue chain, which was which I did have this written down, that they would be able to do a mechanic similar to what I did in Tomb, where you had a thing that you could access like once per day. You roll a successful skill check, and then you can find it, which is kind of my cute way of like delaying this one slightly.
Right. Like
delaying the outcome of it. Yeah.
Giving a clue that's not going to pay out till a few sessions later.
Exactly. Yeah. But I did expect there to be a little more investigation.
That makes sense.
So I'm basically telling you right now, you don't have to do that, because I essentially gave you the end result, which was that the travel guide thing.
Okay.
With the coded message. So
I still want, in that scenario, I still want to know where the bodyguard went. Then there was
obviously it wasn't
undead.
Wasn't there? Yeah. You don't know why.
Huh. Okay.
Gaps in the story.
Oh,
I was even thinking, like, okay, what if they, like, visit the jail cell where he stayed, and maybe he, like, wrote a message, like, that's coded that they have to do shit. Like, I had all kinds of shit, like, just in case, depending on what avenue. Like, do you want to go to the, like, place he was arrested and talk to the fucking shopkeeper, do any of this?
Yeah.
I had some vague. It wasn't very straight. It wasn't like pages and pages, but it was like, half a page of notes of like, okay, just in case.
If this, then this.
Yeah, they do certain things. What do they find out, and who knows what? It was never written down that the like captain of the guard would like give, like, just walk up to you and give you these things, but
That was
That
your
was the
solution at the
easiest way to
end?
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a way to be
Yeah.
like, oh wait, let's go ahead and make sure you have this.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that was just straight up what you mentioned earlier. That was just straight up the names
Yeah.
problem happening again. Dazan and Velens sound similar enough that without having met them in person, I'm not going to remember which one's which.
That's true. Yeah, that you haven't met these characters makes it tricky. Yeah, so that's partially on me for sure. Is just not being more obvious, I guess, with like, oh hey, and you recognize this name as being from this.
Yeah, which I guess in turn, like, hey, for this could be a great topic for one of your DM roundtables,
Mm,
like the taking and keeping of notes within a campaign, like
Yeah.
remembering of stuff. Is that supposed to be on the DM's plate, or is that supposed to be on the player's plate?
That's true.
It can kind of vary.
I have literally read threads about how DMs are so strict where if a player does not remember something, like you just do not remember it. Which is shitty because there's a difference between real life being able to remember that shit. That's like a really hardcore dumb take to me. Versus
it's a dumb take unless you're literally doing it from 9 to 5. If you're playing D&D 9 to 5 every day, and then someone forgets a name, then that's on them. But if you're doing it once a week, and someone forgets a name,
most people are,
that's understandable.
Yeah, I definitely err towards like trying to help players remember and do all that. Because it's usually it's like we do those recaps like for a reason. Now, what I don't do is what we joked about in this session, which was previously on, and you highlight those like important story beats and characters that happened like sessions ago. Maybe that would be a useful thing going forward. Although it'd be kind of weird because you're just I don't know how to recap that. Like, remember this scene.
My take on it personally is just like that's something safe for in the middle of the session, like when not
you just pause for a second and be like, all right, here's
not to tell you how you should have done this, but like in this scenario, if like you had said like if we had asked who's burning on the pile outside, and they had said Dazan, and you had stopped down and said like, and you all remember the name Dazan from the top of the mountain, and just sort of give a recap right in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I ostensibly the player should remember this stuff, but in practice,
it's been a while. It's not like it was the last thing that happened. It's
been 2 months since we heard that name.
It's been longer than that, maybe. I mean, that mountain climb quest was like 4 quests ago, I think. Because Goodmead was the last one, and then you did the Avarice one, and then it was the Dwergar. It was the one before the Dwergar was the mountain climb.
Yeah.
And as a character you never met, you were just like following the trail, essentially.
Right.
So that's interesting. That's good feedback for me, because I was like, man, I can't believe they're not investigating this. But I was like, oh, they just now I know, like, oh, it's just cut and dry. Like, you guys killed the other wizard that we never met. Yeah. That's one less wizard.
We did not put 1 and 1 together.
Yeah. And then the fairy, I think we talked about that a little bit already, but I modified a little bit. I grabbed a battle map off of Reddit because I didn't have one.
Oh, yeah.
And turned it into a little bit of a combat encounter, mainly as a way to have some combat this session in case you guys did what I thought you might do, which is skip past the fox and just have a big social scene.
Right.
Which was designed to be, it's just like kind of a security room, and I spiced it up by having a modified animated armor and then some flying swords, which are the battle axes, which none of those are at all strong units, but for some reason they have pretty decent AC. The flying axes have 17 and the animated armor has 18, which is no joke.
It's no joke, yeah.
And I think for that whole first round, you guys were just missing. So,
which I also wonder what everybody's like state of mind was going into this fight, because what I was thinking, I was sort of yelling at Heather in my mind at one point, like, you can rage. We're gonna long rest right after this. Like,
she is so funny about hanging on to those rages, though. Holy crap! As much as she role plays a barbarian, like she absolutely like hangs on to those rages like nobody's business.
And I think I don't know if it was we were all collectively like not remembering that it was late in the day when we did this. That, like, we're probably gonna short rest.
That's true.
Long rest right after this fight. So it should just be like, hey, throw all your shit out, folks. You don't have to hang on to anything.
That's a good point. I hate that barbarians rages on a long rest though, because it's such a core thing that they can do. and you
Does
really
it
have to
stay
just.
on a long rest
It-
forever?
I think so. I think they get more of them as they level up, but I think it takes a
Yeah.
while. Like she's got 3, but I don't know how long it takes to get like a 4th one. But that's a tricky thing
Let's
to
see. Oh,
regulate.
she's only got 2 right now.
Oh, I thought it was 3. Is it really 2?
At 5th, she gets 3.
Oh shoot. Okay.
And at 9th, she gets 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's tricky,
yeah.
especially when you look at a fight like that and you're like, this is nothing. Like I don't need to.
That's true.
So
yeah.
I didn't.
I know I'm not gonna need it.
And looking at those enemies, like I didn't think anybody would. You guys would be tearing it up really quickly. So that ended up being.
Yeah. Our only holdback was like just somebody who could do saving throw damage. Because they were high AC enemies, right? So
Yeah.
that's where like your
interesting
spells
weakness for your team. Then
you're right.
you're good at I think the mind fuckery, and these guys as specifically.
I learned this recently, from a fight that automatons in general
are dangerous for you guys. They have all those condition immunities, and they're immune to psychic damage. So, like, literally none of your shit would have worked, and they had pretty high AC, although I liked that your response was to crit on your attack, which was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's kind of, high AC enemies that are immune to my player,
Yeah,
or my character,
your character
in general.
Completely, yeah. I felt bad, but like I said, I didn't expect the fucking fight to last that long, to where you're like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I thought this would be over in like a fucking round and a half.
Right.
Which,
at least I have something to fall back on, which is like healing and buffing. Like
that's true. Yeah, you can throw out bardic inspiration. You can healing word. Yeah. And of course Raymond stepped away, but I fucking love him doing the George thing. I'm just like, oh yeah, Thorn Whip. I can just fucking move people around and do my thing. And anytime there's any kind of ledge or gap.
Yes. So this is a topic that I want to talk about like 3 weeks, a month ago. I keep forgetting to talk about it every session. We forgot about one of your very interesting house rules. We forgot since the very beginning. Your cinematic advantage idea.
You're right.
We've never once actually
I literally did that as like the Raymond rule, because I remember at some point, I think when he was a fighter, maybe that's the difference. When he was doing all these like, well, can I stand on this crate and do this, or can I go over here and do this? Yeah. And as a DM, you had to like adjudicate everything, and I was like, all right, let me codify this. As something that everybody can do. You have to make a check, but if you fail, then like there's a consequence. You don't always just want to do it.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't think it's ever really come up, but we also don't have. And it was also a way to get people to like think outside the box a little bit and use the environment in fun ways, which Raymond does that anyway. But he does it. He does it like just by knocking people off the ledge. That's what you guys have been doing. So.
But I mean, like this session, I feel like that his thorn whip as he was leaping off the ledge, turning around and thorn whipping him off the same ledge. That might have qualified.
That's true. I should have looked at that and been like, all right, now if you make this like acrobatics check, then you've got, advantage on this attack. But if you fail, then you're gonna fall into the ice, for example. That could be a cool example. I should try and highlight that. Because
I forgot about it, and then like I think I was like looking at the house rules for something else. Like,
oh yeah.
I was like, oh right, this thing. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was newly added to this campaign, and it's never really come up. Not that it's like, missing a whole bunch, but I think it just makes some fights better than just like, oh, I swing my sword. Okay, into my turn.
Yeah, it helps those especially those players who are sort of stuck in that like, okay, I'm gonna hit him. That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and it's just a way for you to do things a little bit cooler and possibly get cool advantage. So I forgot about that as well. Anything else about session 22?
I enjoyed debating religious political issues with you tonight.
Yeah, that was fun. That was and that's, you pretty much nailed it the head, which was where the inspiration was and what was going on here. And you guys are still in the middle of this quest in Easthaven, so we can talk about more about that later. But obviously, this was not meant to be a big.
We don't exactly know what's going on with the Duergar yet.
Right, yeah. I'm not going to talk about any of that because, you'll get some more information at the start of next session. I was trying to figure out, do I want to end this session before you make it to the cabin, before we do this fight? But then it was like literally, I think it was like 10 after 11 or 11:50 or 9 something for you. And I looked at the enemies going, they're going to kick these enemies' asses. We're still going to end it. I'm going to start the poll up. We're going to get this combat going. And then, yeah, it just lasted like another 40 minutes. I was like, all right, this will end up being a full session, even though I felt like I would have had to truncate it because of how I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of content that would have taken up time. But I'll be damned if we didn't.
Did you cut short the HP on that golem because of the cool cinematic attack at the end?
Yeah, technically I did. He was at it. I actually rolled really good on hit points. The average 33 hit points. He had 40 hit points going to that fight. And whenever Raymond did his move, he was at 14 hit points. So I didn't even roll the fall damage, which would have done some more damage. Then he would have had like 10 left. But then I thought, well, it's just cinematically cool to just end it here anyway. Like how it's not fun to just have him down there and go another round of people just like shooting at him. It's just one of those things that as a DM you just understand. Like this is a way to end the fight essentially.
Yeah, this is the climax.
Now, if he had 30 hit points left, that would have been a little bit trickier. But I still think that was the way to go. And it thankfully you guys had fought. It felt like I got my worth out of him, I guess, in terms of how long he lasted, all the damage he did, that I was totally okay with that. So, yeah, technically he went into, like, cinematic death mode with probably, like, 10 hit points left. But at that point, it's just, it's not really, he can't really do any damage down there, and you guys can just do all the damage. You're not intelligent enough to, get his way out of it. So, I thought that was a cool way of ending it.
Yeah, I think so, too.
All right, I think that will do it for this week's Frostside chat. Thank you to Chris and Raymond, wherever you are, for Baby Aggro. Got called away. And thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.